Good morning, brothers and sisters. I've been asked by a number of viewers if I think this death by Erin Moran is the Happy Days star. Erin Moran is a Illuminati sacrifice, and this is something that we can understand factually because we can know without a shadow of a doubt that this Hollywood beast, this all-consuming Hollywood beast, it does psychologically to so many of these child stars and Hollywood personalities because it just feasts on them in a way where they're devoured and they are psychologically destabilized. Now, whether that means that they are under some sort of mind control is something that we can speculate, or there's Illuminati sacrifices. It's hard for us to get legitimate proof of this. But we can see from what happened with Erin Moran and so many of these kids that grow up in Hollywood, how they turn out and how their lives go, and how Hollywood and this so-called stardom is a horrible, horrible influence. So let's just take a look at her life and then draw some conclusions about Hollywood's effect on these people and then how it must affect all of us negatively because it is essentially something coming from a dark place, a demonic place. So there are a couple things. I saw a video online maybe, I don't know, 3, 4 years ago. And I grew up in the Happy Days generation. Those were god-awful shows. Happy Days, Laverne and Shirley, these really bad sitcoms. And Erin Moran is, I think, maybe 4 or 5 years older than I am. So she was a child star that I grew up watching those Happy Days shows. And I saw maybe, I don't know, maybe 3, 4 years ago that she was homeless, that she was living in a trailer park somewhere in Indiana, and they kicked her out of the trailer park. So this was somebody who was on this TV show that lasted forever, like, I don't know, 10, 12, 15 years. I don't even know how long it was on. And then she had a spin-off show, I think it was called Jody Loves Chachi. And so she was somebody, and I think she was in a couple of movies. But just the Happy Days show alone. If you understand this, these shows like Seinfeld and Friends and all these shows that you see Two and a Half Men over and over again, they go into syndication. So the show goes off the air. But they're in syndication. You see them on local stations. And this is something they do all around the world, on Netflix, wherever it is. And these stars of the show, the actors in the show, get royalties. They get money. And that's where the real money is. After the show's gone off the air and they're shown over and over again, they become these iconic shows all over the world. And money is pouring into these actors and producers' bank accounts. They are just getting money for basically nothing. Their work has been done years and years ago. And you think about Happy Days and how much it's been played over and over again, all these various networks for years, TV stations. And there was a time when Erin Moran and a few of the other people sued CBS. And they sued them for millions of dollars in back royalties, but they got like $65,000 apiece. So here's a person who was on this iconic show. Everybody knew this person. And you look at Henry Winkler and you look at Ron Howard as being the stars of that show and how much money they have. They're like multi-millionaires. And they not only just money, but prestige and all this. But I know some of the players on this show, this guy who played Ralph Malph on that show, Donnie Most, and he was featured less than Erin Moran. And I know that I knew some bartenders years ago, and Donnie Most went into their bar and left them like $1,000 tip, over $1,000 tip. And this was the kind of wealth that these people had. So this is back in the early 90s. And so you think about all these people and the wealth they had, and this woman gets thrown out of her trailer park and was homeless for a number of years. Of course, she was drug use and things involved. But if you see the way she looks, again, she's only 4 or 5 years older than me. People, when you get older, you see that people age differently. If you go back to your high school reunion and things like this, some of it's genetics, but some of it's like bad living and things like this. And she looks like a 70-year-old woman as before she died. So her body was worn out. She was psychologically impaired. She was an addict, and all these types of things. Think about all that. This is the kind of life that she lived. And so many of these child Hollywood stars lived this life. And nobody cared for her. I mean, they didn't, they're all writing, you see these her co-stars are writing, oh yes, she was great on the show or whatever. We miss her. But she was, living in a horrible situation. Not even a real life in a sense. Not like homeless in Hollywood. She was like homeless in Indiana. I mean, all the royalties she should have had, all these things. There should have been some care. So you think about the psychological damage that was done to this person and all the things that transpired on that TV show, whatever they might be. You think about all these people. I've talked about the Olsen twins and the cast of Full House. All those girls ended up in rehab in one way or another, wrecked in various ways, psychologically, substance abuse, all these child stars saying that they're sexually abused, all the things that we know go on in Hollywood. These things have been reported over and over again, and they're factual. And so you think about how many people want this. They want to be celebrities. They want all these things. They want to be famous. They want these so-called privileged life they have. And then all the various movie stars, and some of them big-time movie stars that die prematurely, all the drug addicts. I've covered this over and over again. All the substance abuse, all the people that just can't cope with life, the suicides. And you understand, you get a picture of how bad is Hollywood. All these people have emotional breakdowns. They have very few can sustain a marriage or a relationship and these types of things. How many healthy psychologically and it's healthy people in all ways you see who have this privileged position of being in Hollywood. So, and how much of that is just some image they're able to maintain to the public. So how many of these people are actually living good lives, feeling good about themselves, contributing to the society and the world, and are just functioning as people. They're functioning as competent people. How many people in Hollywood, and I'm talking about the producers, the agents, people we don't know about, how many of these people are good, sincere, you say, oh, that's a good person there. That's a person that's, got their S together, I mean, how many people can you say that about that come out of Hollywood? So you think about that. And then you think about how all of the movies and everything, all these kind of things, the television shows, all this stuff, the material that comes out of there, and how much people are influenced all over the world, not just in America, by Hollywood's, whatever you call it, products. So the people in Hollywood are often suicidal, mentally unstable, drug and alcohol abusers, that die young and miserable, many of them, just about all of them in some way or another. They have unhealthy and unnatural lives. And you think about this whole community there of writers and actors and directors and producers, the money people, the agents, everybody. It's this, ecosystem and what they believe in terms of their morality and their ethics and what they believe socially and culturally. And they put all of that garbage into their work, into their movies, and then how it affects all of us. So if you think about MK Ultra and all these things, yeah. But just look at that. These are things that we know factually, that these are the kinds of people. They're not healthy people. They don't have a good families. They don't have good psychological stability. They don't have good morality. And they're often lost, confused, and have mental issues. All of it across the board, this whole community. And their stories and their products, the work they put out there in terms of media and material that everybody is feasting on in terms of, television shows and movies and all of it. And the whole culture, the whole celebrity culture, the whole paparazzi culture, all of it. And then you think about this person here, Erin Moran, and how she lived and how it feasted on her, like feasted on her soul. Leaves her looking like she's 80 when she's like 56 or whatever. And this is how Hollywood treats people. This is the beast. This is the center of the beast. And so there's just a lot of proof here because Hollywood is always leading the way in terms of people's point of view and what they believe in. All of this agenda, the transgender agenda, the gender fluid stuff that's coming out now, just its influence of what people think life is all about. And that's what they get their inspiration from. A lot of people get their whole morality and their internal world from television and the movies. Their stories, their internal stories come from this demonic beast. And so we know this is a factual thing because this is just another example of somebody who's gone through all these types of things, who's lived in this world and just ends up being absorbed, like their whole life's energy was sucked out of them. And they're left as a psychologically impaired person that can barely function. And that's how Hollywood and the celebrity culture affects people. The closer you get to it, the more it treats you like this. This is why I talk about getting close to God in the center of your heart. This is the idea of connecting to your soul's energy, because when you connect to God, the opposite thing happens. Where you're uplifted, you become a better person. It affects your physical and emotional and psychological health. And it just takes some effort, meditation, and some desire and will force to connect with God. Everybody has people in their life that either are good people or bad people. And you know that there are people that have influenced you in a bad way, that when you got close to those people, they ended up, your life got worse in some way or another. And then you've had people that are good people, loving people, people with good characters. And when you hang around them, when you spend time with them, you become a better person. So you have this example. This is like the Hollywood being like that bad influence on people, and then God being this positive influence. And one has a lot of lures. Hollywood and this kind of culture has a lot of lures, egotistical lures that draws people in. And it's stimulating to the senses, and it lures you to your doom in a sense, like the siren, the Starbucks siren. But God is very subtle. God is just loving all the time. Giving God is just can't be anything but love. And love is very subtle, and it is not, doesn't have any bells and whistles, doesn't have any hype, but you connect to this subtle energy, and it just has a positive effect. All right, this is Paul Romano reporting from the apocalypse. Everybody have a blessed day.